Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 131 based on novel. So let's start. After seeing Wang Lin arrive, the old man let out a sigh of relief. Fellow cultivator Wang Lin, if there is any problem, we can talk about it. This old man will tell you anything you want to know without a single lie. The short elder was helpless because his cultivation was weaker and his treasures were worse. Wang Lin didn't even have to chase him, all he had to do was throw 2 treasures at him and it was enough to drive him crazy. The flying sword wasn't too bad. Although it was very sturdy, the sword energy wasn't too powerful. However, just this sturdiness was a big problem for him too. No matter what he tried, it had no effect on the flying sword. If it wasn't for the fact that he was running for his life, he would have done whatever it took to take it so he could study it. What really caused the short elder to completely give up was this strange half-moon blade. This half-moon blade was like a primordial war god that harvested lives. Its speed was too fast, and the entire time, it was extremely close to his head. It was as if it had a powerful hold on his neck, so no matter what he did, it would be difficult for him to escape death. As a result, how could the short elder dare to run anymore? Just like this, with a blade and sword pointed at him, he waited for Wang Lin's arrival. The bitterness in his heart was very strong. He regretted coming here with Shifang and offending this fiend. He couldn't be bothered about whether Shifang was still alive or not, all he was worried about was how to save his own life. Strands of grey gas moved around Wang Lin's finger as he stared at the old man. He calmly said, "Many years ago, when the Sword Saint returned from the celestial realm, was there anything abnormal? Hesitate and die? Lie and die? Say something different from what Shifang said or die." The short elder was startled, but he quickly blurted out, "When the revered Sword Saint returned, there was a terrifying sword spirit that had chased after him. It battled with the Sword Saint for many days before collapsing. The Sword Saint sealed away 1/3 of the sword spirit deep within East Demon Spirit Sea." Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he quickly asked, "What is so mysterious about the East Demon Spirit Sea?" The short elder didn't dare to delay and said, "The East Demon Spirit Sea is one of the 3 great forbidden areas of planet Qian-Yu. There are many ancient demons inside there. Every 10,000 years, the control of the gate to the area changes ownership. This time it belongs to my Da Lu sword sect. The gate is opened every 5,000 years, and every time it opens, every sect sends disciples to enter to capture ancient demons. Capturing ancient demons is only secondary. The main reason for the East Demon Spirit Sea is a trial, a bloody trial. Once one enters, the danger is extremely high. It can even be said that the fewer people that come out, the better, because the real benefit is when you leave, you will receive the demon spirit inheritance." At this moment, the short elder's eyes were filled with greed. Demon spirit inheritance? Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. That is correct. This demon spirit inheritance can push cultivators' cultivation 1 whole level. If one receives it during the Dao-seeking stage, then it will decrease the risk and increase the chance of reaching the ascendant stage by a lot. Of course, if one is already at the ascendant stage, it will still help increase their cultivation level. If one is at the late stage of ascendant, it might even help them take the step into the incorporeal yin and corporeal yang stages and obtain a body that can last for tens of thousands of years. This is why it is such a big deal for planet Qian-Yun. There are many greedy people, but the East Demon Spirit Sea is very dangerous. If you want the benefits, then you must be willing to pay. Anyone that is allowed to enter is one of the most outstanding people of their generation. There is even a rumor that it is possible for only 1 person to come out. If someone can do that, they will obtain a never-before-seen reward, a low-quality celestial spell. Wang Lin pondered a bit and then his eyes lit up. With one thought, Shuligua seemed to notice, and the half-moon blade immediately lit up. In an instant, the half-moon blade penetrated the head of the short elder. The short elder's body trembled, blood gushed out of his mouth, and his eyes dimmed. He pointed at Wang Lin as his eyes gradually closed, then he fell on the ground and remained motionless. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the half-moon blade and celestial sword returned to his bag of holding. Then his body flickered and disappeared. 3 incense sticks of time after Wang Lin left, the short elder suddenly opened his eyes and the hole between them slowly closed. He took a deep breath and looked dispirited. He turned around and looked viciously at the void and muttered to himself, "You want to kill me? Well, it's not that easy. This old man cultivates the 3-soul method, which allows me to survive death 3 times. I didn't think I would use my last one here. Wang Lin, once I return to the Da Lu Sword sect, I'll definitely find a way to force you to your death to get my revenge for today." His eyes gave off cold light as he flew off into the distance. However, just at the moment he moved, 2 strands of grey gas silently shot out from the jungle in the valley. Their speed was too fast, and they broke the sound barrier as they closed in. The short elder's expression changed greatly, and without any hesitation, he shouted, "Scatter!" With one word, a large amount of ripples appeared around his body to block the 2 strands of grey gas. At the same time, the short elder's body took a step back. Half of his body entered the void and he was just about to teleport away, but he was too late. The 2 strands of grey gas completely ignored the ripples and went directly through them. Like 2 wild chains, the strands of grey gas directly charged into the short elder's body. The old man's face turned pale and let out a pitiful smile. He could feel the 2 strands of grey gas cycle like crazy inside his body, and with every cycle, he would lose some of his life force. Wang Lin continued to move in the depths of the Earth Northern demonic land. The grey gas around him would sometimes be thick and sometimes be thin. The most eye-catching was the several strands of grey gas that were constantly moving between his fingers. As he flew, his expression suddenly changed. He looked behind him and let out a sneer. Shortly after, a thick strand of grey gas came from behind Wang Lin and formed a ball of grey gas before him. After taking one look at the ball, Wang Lin reached out to grab it. When he opened his hand, the ball of gas had disappeared. Wang Lin moved like lightning, and as he flew, he turned into a giant cloud of grey gas as he charged into the depths of the Earth Northern demonic land. Time waits for no one. The East Demon Spirit Sea will be the perfect place for me to practice the celestial slaughter art. This is one of the reasons for going. Ju Yi has helped me before, and now he is trapped in the East Demon Spirit Sea. There are a few people who I owe, and I'll repay them all. I must go to try and help him. This is the second reason for going. Master Allseer cares about the heavenly fate and would not do anything without reason. If he wants me to go, he must have his reasons. If I don't go, I'll be going against fate, and that would make it hard to get a foothold on planet Tianyun. This is the third reason for going. I just don't know if I'll have the luck to find something that can help increase the metal element in the heaven-defying bead. If the heaven-defying bead is complete, it will probably have great benefits for Wan and might even awaken her. Wang Lin touched his forehead and revealed a gentle look of reminiscence. While thinking about Li Muwen, Wang Lin felt a hint of warmth in his cold heart. Li Muwen was the only one who walked into his heart and came with him to planet Tianyun. Wang Lin pondered a bit before letting out a sigh, then his body turned into grey gas and disappeared. The deeper one goes into the Earth Northern demonic land, the stronger the demonic beasts becomes. In the inner 150,000 kilometers, there are even desolate beasts as strong as ascendant cultivators. In the last 10 days, the Earth Northern demonic land was covered in endless grey gas. Strands of grey gas rose from the ground and took life away with it. However, this grey gas never went within 150,000 kilometers of the center, so the desolate beasts didn't bother with it. This grey gas also only lasted for a mere 10 days before disappearing, so it didn't cause any lasting effect. 10 days later, there were only 6 days left before the opening of the East Demon Spirit Sea, so Wang Lin left this area. In contrast to 10 days ago, there was now a very well-hidden killing intent and a hint of grey gas moving inside his eyes. The most eye-catching were the 5 strands of grey gas moving between his fingers that were emitting the sound of howling wind. This sound seemed to contain a mysterious power, and anyone that heard it would have their attention drawn by it. The celestial slaughter art can be considered to be at the small completion stage. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he walked out of the Earth Northern demonic land and looked up at the sky. Transforming life force into seals is difficult. In this trip, I was only able to make 3 seals. A grey symbol appeared on Wang Lin's forehead. This symbol wasn't complex, it was filled with life force. After the symbol appeared, it immediately began to spread, and it covered his body in an instant. Shortly after, another identical symbol appeared and covered his body. With a total of 3 flashes, 3 symbols covered his body. Wang Lin lowered his head to look at his body, then he formed a sword with his finger and waved his finger. There was a grinding sound from the point of contact, but the finger didn't pierce through. East Sea, Wang Lin looked into the distance and revealed a look of determination. There is a mysterious place in the void in planet Chen Yun's vicinity. From a distance, this just looks like a place where a lot of floating objects have gathered, an endless sea of floating objects. There are only 2 colors here, green and red. All of the floating things here are these 2 colors. Every 5,000 years, this sea of floating stuff emits a mysterious power, and a lot of mysterious things are absorbed into this sea by this power. Among these mysterious things are corpses and treasures. Anything and everything can be absorbed. This place is like a giant treasure trove that only absorbs and never emits. If you want the treasures, you must go inside. No one knows how this place was formed. Rumor has it that when planet Chen Yun came to be, this place had already existed for a long time. Some people say that this place was a palace of a powerful celestial general. Later, when the celestial realm collapsed, it was somehow impacted and turned into ruins. However, this ruin that everyone sees is only a state created by a powerful spell. If one is fortunate enough to go inside, they can definitely recover the celestial palace. There are even rumors that this place is a tunnel that links to another space. Maybe people can find a passage to the realm beyond the celestial realm here. Overall, there are countless rumors about this place, and every one of these rumors are filled with confidence as if they have some definitive facts. This sea of unknown origin is on the eastern side of planet Chen Yun, so after a long time, it was referred to as the East Sea. Back when the All-Seer first completed his Tao, he invited several friends, including Sword Saint Ling Qian, who before their relationship broke down, and explored this place 3 times. The first 2 times they came back empty-handed, but on the 3rd time, only half of the people that went returned. It was also after that time that Sword Saint Ling Qianho's and the All-Seer's friendship broke apart. Even until now, they have never talked about what happened on that 3rd expedition. However, after that time, the All-Seer said one thing. There is an ancient demon inside there. From today onward, this place belongs to my planet Chen Tun, and this place will be called the Gate to the East Demon Spirit Sea. The words, ancient demon, spread during that time and were remembered by countless people. Even someone from the Cultivation Alliance came to check the East Demon Spirit Sea. However, in regards to letting outsiders enter the East Demon Spirit Sea, the All-Seer, Ling Qianhu, and all the other old monsters around had a rare, uniform opinion about it. They would never allow anyone from the outside to enter. This place was the forbidden area of planet Chen Yun. After the situation stayed like this for a very long time, this East Demon Spirit Sea just naturally became a forbidden area that belonged to planet Chen Yun. There aren't many mysterious places like the East Demon Spirit Sea, but they aren't very rare either. The Cultivation Alliance doesn't want to have a bad relationship with the cultivators of planet Chen Yun over such a place, because for them, it is not worth it. The opening of the East Demon Spirit Sea every 5,000 years is a big event for planet Chen Yun. At the moment it opens, there will be a tide phase that lasts for several months. The tide phase is when the mysterious power from within the East Demon Spirit Sea spreads out across a very large area. As long as the cultivators are there, they can see that countless treasures, countless spells, countless corpses of demonic beasts, and countless strange things are pulled and absorbed into the East Demon Spirit Sea. Every time it opens, all the old monsters around Chen Yun send in their disciples. Although it is very dangerous, it only opens once every 5,000 years. It is too good of an opportunity to miss, so might as well risk it. Every time the gate to the East Demon Spirit Sea opens, a large amount of people enter. On the lower end, there are a few hundred, but on the upper end, there are more than 1,000. The weakest are at the soul transformation stage, while the strongest are people who have touched the yin and yang stage. That is the highest cultivation level allowed because planet Qianyun has a very strict requirement on people who can enter. Anyone above the ascendant stage is definitely not allowed to enter. After all, this place is used for training everyone's disciples. Even when it is open, it is only half open so they won't all die inside. However, nothing is absolute and everything depends on what gets sucked in during the tide phase. If there was something so heaven-defying that it would even tempt these old monsters, then the East Demon Spirit Sea would become very lively. At this moment, there are still 5 days until the East Demon Spirit Sea opens. But there were already countless cultivators outside the East Demon Spirit Sea. These cultivators were all people who were going to enter this time around. They were wearing various different clothing, and although they mingled, the distinction between each sect was very clear. The disciples of each sect were all grouped together and it was very lively. As time passed, more and more cultivators appeared outside the East Demon Spirit Sea. Even some old monsters that never showed their faces had come with their disciples. Every time one of them appeared, it would cause an uproar among the cultivators. All of the cultivators would make way, as they didn't dare to block these people's path. On this day, a ray of red light almost covered the entire area outside the East Demon Spirit Sea. At the same time, a thick smell of blood spread across the area. This caused the surroundings to look like a world of blood. Blood Planet's ancestor. Some cultivators immediately recognized the person from the smell of blood. At this moment, everyone stopped their chattering. From within the blood-red light, a giant, blood-red jade slowly floated toward the East Demon Spirit Sea. On the top of the giant jade sat a woman. She had red phoenix eyes, her beautiful brows contained killing intent, and she was wearing a white robe that when compared to the blood-red jade below her, it created a powerful visual contrast. Although she was sitting in the lotus position, one could still see her slim figure. She had a head of silky, black hair, a tender and white sunflower seed face, skin as smooth as crystal, an exquisite nose, and her red phoenix eyes glowed like the blazing sun shining on the lake on the surface but contained well-hidden depth and coldness within. If one were to accidentally get caught inside her eyes, they would be out of luck. She sat on the blood jade and flew over. Everyone who saw her moved out of the way, allowing her to reach the outside of the East Demon Spirit Sea. She stopped in an empty area. Along the way, the woman didn't say a word. When the blood jade finally stopped, she closed her eyes and began cultivating. Blood Ancestor's daughter, Yao Shishue. Some cultivators immediately recognized her. Blood Ancestor Yao Xinghai was a famous old monster around planet Qianyun. This person's cultivation level was really high. He has challenged the All-Seer total of 7 times, and although he lost all 7 times, his cultivation level was higher each time. Especially the 7th time, when he showed off his terrifying blood spells. This person owned his own cultivation planet around planet Qianyun. He captured natives to provide him with blood to cultivate his demonic techniques. This Yao Xinghai has never accepted any disciple except for one girl. This girl was his beloved daughter. He taught her all of his techniques and even helped change her life by defying the heavens to allow her bloodline power to awaken. This father and daughter duo spends most of their time on the blood planet and never interacts with anyone. But the more they stay isolated, the less people are willing to mess with them. Let's not talk about the matter here for now. On Earth planet, one of the 5 planets orbiting planet Qianyun, outside the large transfer array in the Xianyuan sect, the junior master of the Xianyuan sect, Shi Yunshan, was silently standing there. Although he looked calm, he was constantly hitting his palm with the fan in his hand and looking at the distance. Behind him followed 3 people. These 3 people were all white-haired old men. Although they wore simple clothes, they gave off a terrifying aura, making it feel like the air around them was becoming thin. On the outer rim of the transfer array sat several hundred Xianyuan sect disciples. They were sitting at various corners of the transfer array and were silently cultivating. They were waiting for the command to use the spiritual energy inside their bodies to stimulate the celestial energy inside the transfer array to activate it. As Sun Yunshan softly tapped the jade fan in his hand, his face was without any hint of impatience and was still calm. Not long after, a ray of pink light came from the horizon. Sun Yunshan frowned and revealed a look of helplessness. He then put away the fan and looked at the pink light. The pink light was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, it arrived. The light made a circle around the area before landing 10 feet away from Sun Yunshan, revealing a girl in her 20s. This girl was wearing a pink dress and her skin was as smooth and clear as crystal. She was like a person made of jade. She gave off a fragrance that would cause people to be completely intoxicated by her. The girl puffed her cheeks and quickly said, "Elder brother, you promised me that as long as I could make it, you would let me go." Sun Yunshan looked at her and shouted, "What nonsense! The East Demon Spirit Sea is not a place you can go with your cultivation level. Although Father is in closed-door cultivation, he has already ordered that you are not allowed to go. Xian Yi, bring her back to the sect." One of the old men behind Sun Yunshan took a step forward and stood next to the girl. He clasped his hands and said, "My lady, please don't make it hard for Xian Yi." The girl snorted. She didn't even look at Xian Yi, she looked at Sun Yunshan and said, "Mother agreed." Sun Yunshan was about to speak, but his expression suddenly changed. He no longer bothered with the girl as he looked at the horizon and revealed a smile. "Brother Wang, I have been waiting for you." After Sun Yunshan finished speaking, a ray of purple light rushed over like lightning. It quickly closed in, landed on the ground, and revealed Wang Lin inside. Wang Lin faintly smiled and clasped his hands. "I was met with a little delay on the way here. I didn't think Brother Sun would be waiting." Sun Yunshan laughed and said, "No problem. I was originally going to head to the East Demon Spirit Sea yesterday, but heard that Brother Wang was someone the All-Seer picked to go. I thought about it and decided to wait a few days for Brother Wang so we could go together. I'm not in a rush." Wang Lin gave him a warm smile and said, "Thank you for your consideration." With that, he looked at the people around Sun Yunshan. Sun Yunshan laughed. "These three are the Xian Yuan sect's elders responsible for my safety, as my cultivation can't match Brother Wang's. If it wasn't for Father's order, I wouldn't go to the East Demon Spirit Sea." Wang Lin smiled. Brother Sun is funny. As for the girl wearing pink, her gaze shifted as she stared at Wang Lin and showed a hint of surprise. Sun Yunshan pointed at the girl and said, "Brother Wang, this is my little sister, Sun Runan." With that, he gave her a stare and shouted, "This is the All-Seer's core disciple, Wang Lin. Why haven't you greeted him yet?" Sun Runan wrinkled her nose as she greeted Wang Lin with her voice that was like a bird singing. "Runan, greet Elder Brother Wang." Wang Lin smiled and nodded. He didn't take more than one look at her before his gaze fell on the transfer array. Sun Yunshan was very smart and naturally knew Wang Lin's thoughts, so he said, "Brother Wang, it is getting late, so let us get going." Wang Lin nodded, then the two of them walked side by side toward the center of the transfer array. As Sun Yunshan walked, he didn't even turn his head, and as he slowly said, "Xian Yi, come back." Xian Yi didn't say a word as he turned around and walked toward the transfer array along with the other two elders. The only one left outside the transfer array was the pink-dressed girl. She stomped her feet and shouted toward Sun Yunshan, "Big brother, just let me go." Sun Yunshan said, without any hesitation, "No. Activate the array." After the shout, the hundreds of disciples outside the transfer array opened their eyes and started using their spiritual energy, causing a large amount of spiritual energy to enter the array. This array wasn't a normal array, but one that sent people into space. The amount of celestial jades and spirit stones required to activate this array was enormous. A series of rumbling sounds came from the array as a powerful force began to spread out from it like a shockwave. Those hundreds of disciples' clothes were blown back and created a lot of flapping noises. Their faces were all pale, but none of them moved an inch. Shortly after, a rainbow hundreds of feet wide suddenly shot upwards and pierced into the sky. Rings of light began to spread out in the sky, and a majority of the sky on the planet was covered by this ripple of rings. The ripples lasted for half an incense stick of time before disappearing. At the moment the rainbow shot into the sky, the girl next to the array revealed a hint of pride. Her right hand touched her bag of holding and a jade appeared in her grasp. "Humph, if you don't want me to go, then I'll just follow you guys secretly." I stole Dad's 1,000 transfer jade, and with it, I can follow along. Maybe I'll even find some treasures in the East Sea. The moment the jade appeared in her hand, it released a white light and surrounded the girl in an instant. With a flash of white light, her body turned into a strand of white light and fused with the rainbow. East of planet Qianyun, location of the gate to the East Demon Spirit Sea. There were only 3 days until it would open. The number of surrounding cultivators had increased to a frightening amount. There were at least 10,000 people here. However, among all these cultivators, not all of them were going to go inside. In fact, a majority of the people present were just here to view the tide phase. After all, this only happened once every 5,000 years, and for some cultivators, that was their entire life. If one can't step into the yin and yang stage and break past the first step, they can't live for 5,000 years. Even old monsters that rarely appeared were here outside the East Demon Spirit Sea. Some of these old monsters came by themselves, some had their disciples with them. Every one of them that appeared caused an uproar and took an area for themselves. But the more they acted like this, the fewer people would be willing to offend them. Luckily, these people all knew each other, so even if they took an area, no one would mess with each other. For example, the blood ancestor's daughter, Yao Shishue. No one has taken a step into the area 1,000 feet around her. On this day, there were only 2 days until the gate would open. A large amount of specks of light appeared in the void. There were simply too many specks of light, so it looked like all the stars in space were charging toward this location. Just these lights created a powerful pressure like a huge storm was about to arrive. At this moment, aside from the famous old monsters, all the other cultivators' expressions changed. Even the blood ancestor's daughter, Yao Shishue, opened her eyes to look at the endless specks of golden light. Yao Shishue softly muttered, "Sword Saint." The golden specks coming from the distance turned into ancient swords. Then rays of sword energy suddenly closed in, creating a powerful pressure. As they closed in, all of the cultivators around the East Demon Spirit Sea entrance moved out of the way. This scene was more grand than any of the other old monsters that arrived. Among the large amount of sword energy, there was a giant Chilean beast. Sword Saint Ling Qian, who was sitting on the head of the Chilean, and his eyes were as bright as torches. Behind him were 4 flashing illusionary swords, making him look even more fierce. There were 12 people behind the Sword Saint. These 12 people each had an ancient sword on their back. There were illusions of various beasts coming from each sword, forming the 12 beasts. The 12 swords. Some of the people here recognized these 12 people. All of the people of planet Qianyun knew that Sword Saint Ling Qian, who was always in competition with the All-Seer. It has gone on for countless years and it still continues. The All-Seer was already 1 head above the Sword Saint, but the Sword Saint was never discouraged and never stopped. The All-Seer had the 7 heavenly fate disciples, and he went on to make the Da Lu Sword Sect's 12 swords. The 7 heavenly fate disciples had celestial spell inheritances, while the 12 swords had demonic beast spirits protecting them. The moment the Sword Saint arrived, a large opening of 50 kilometers immediately opened up, and within it was only the Sword Saint and his 12 disciples. Ling Qianho's expression was very gloomy. He originally wouldn't come here this early, but this trip was very important to him. He looked at the sea of floating stuff and revealed a look of reminiscence. Back then, when he returned from the celestial realm, that sword spirit chased after him. What shocked him the most was how powerful the sword spirit was. In the end, he lured it here and used a special spell to trap it inside the East Demon Spirit Sea. This time he was going to borrow the power of the tide phase to drag the sword spirit into the depths of the East Demon Spirit Sea so that it can never return. That sword spirit belonged to that female celestial general. Although it is very powerful, it won't listen to me. Since it won't listen to me, then no one else can have it, especially that old thief, the All-Seer. Ling Qianhu let out a soft snort and revealed a gloomy expression. Ling Qianhu was thinking when his expression suddenly changed. He looked into the void and revealed a mysterious light. A large cloud of cold air suddenly appeared in space. This cold cloud was dark green and was filled with skulls. There were countless skulls inside this dark green cloud, at least 1,000. There was even some flesh still remaining on some of the skulls. Among those skulls, there was one that was very large. This was clearly the skull of a primordial beast. On top of this giant skull sat a middle-aged man. This person was surrounded by a death aura that obstructed his figure. The images of skulls flashed all around him, they seemed to be endless like a forest of skulls. Along the way, he charged directly through, not bothering about anyone else, and directly entered the 50-kilometer area around Sword Saint Ling Qianhu that no one else dared to enter. The middle-aged man surrounded by the death aura and sitting on the giant skull let out a raspy laugh. "Old friend Ling Qian." Sword Saint Ling Qianhu faintly smiled and said, "Greed." This greed was the one on planet Suzaku that wanted to devour ancient cultivators to recover his cultivation. He also wanted to find where the divine retribution came from and unknowingly was looking for Wang Lin. This person was one of the main culprits that tried to steal the heaven-defying bead from Sichu Nan. In order to avoid Sichu Nan, he escaped here to find his old friend, Sword Saint Ling Qianhu. "How did you become so seriously injured?" Sword Saint Ling Qianhu was able to immediately see that Greed's injuries still hadn't recovered. Greed's eyes give off a ghostly light as he slowly said, "It's a long story. I went to the Da Lu Sword Sect to look for you. When I heard that you were here, I quickly rushed here and wanted to give you a great opportunity. If you and I team up, then you will be able to be one head above Old Man All-Seer." This video will end here.